Coming up on Mountain News at 6, 1 year has passed since a Southern Kentucky police officer was killed. And 3 organizations received donations for their efforts in helping communities recover from the July 2022 flood.
Plus, we are tracking cold weather for Wednesday, also tomorrow. Those details coming up as Mountain News at 6 starts now.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
The man accused of killing a Southern Kentucky police officer in a drunk driving crash learned when he will face a jury trial. On the same day, officers and the victim's family marked the 1-year anniversary of the crime. Sergeant Logan Medlock died on October 30th of last year. Police say he was patrolling early that morning and looking for drunk drivers. Police say Casey Bird's car slammed into Medlock's cruiser, killing him. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more on what took place inside and outside a Laurel County courtroom today.
In the days and months after the crash, a combination of flowers and caution tape have marked the spot where Logan Medlock died. But now, as the 1 year has passed, a permanent monument marks the spot where Medlock was killed.
He was a true public servant in every sense of the word, a true hero in every sense of the word, a friend to everybody.
Sergeant Medlock died when police say Casey Bird crashed into his cruiser. Police say Bird was drunk. Medlock had received numerous awards for arresting drunk drivers. In the years since, the chief says they've had a renewed interest in impaired driving enforcement.
That's one that's near and dear to our heart, and it should be, it should be near and dear to every law enforcement agency, and I'm sure it is. But we kind of put a special emphasis on it because it hits home for us.
Officers were in a formation run, chanting a cadence call outside, when inside a Laurel County courthouse, the suspect in this case was waiting to go before a judge.
I hope he heard us run by. I hope he heard that.
Bird will face a jury trial starting April 16th. Because of all the publicity the case has received, the judge agreed to move it to Warren County. There's been a lot of interest in what happened and support for the department and Medlock's family.
This community has poured out their hearts, their money, their time, and they'll never know how much we appreciate it.
In Laurel County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Casey Bird will be back in court for another pretrial in Laurel County March 25th before the trial is moved to Bowling Green. One person is dead after a fire in Laurel County. Troopers with Kentucky State Police Post 11 in London responded to the call around 1 a.m. overnight. It happened at a home on Terrell Road, about 10 miles south of London. After the fire was put out, firefighters found one person's remains inside the home. The Laurel County Coroner's Office pronounced 54-year-old Melissa Creech of London dead at the scene. Also in Laurel County, one man is dead and a young boy injured following an ATV crash. Investigators say it happened along Jim Garland Road yesterday. The Laurel County Sheriff says an ATV hit a fence and tree, causing it to flip onto its side and throw the driver and passenger off of it. The Laurel County coroner pronounced 52-year-old Jeffrey Smith of London dead at the scene. The 11-year-old boy was taken to St. Joseph Hospital to be treated for his injuries. One person is dead after a motorcycle crash in McCreary County. That crash happened on Kentucky 92 and Pleasant Run Churchill Road yesterday. Troopers with KSP Post 11 responded to the incident just after 2:40 p.m. 33-year-old Michael Kidd of Stearns was riding his motorcycle when he drove off the right shoulder and hit a guardrail. He was taken to Big South Fork Hospital in Tennessee, where he was later pronounced dead. Today, one Leslie County teacher was laid to rest. John L. Hamilton died on Thursday at 48 years old. Born and raised in Perry County, he decided to become a teacher after working for DJ Plastic Factory and Wayne Supply for a number of years. He began his teaching career at Buckhorn and was in his first year of teaching at Leslie County High School. Assistant Superintendent Daniel Day says he was well liked and respected.
All day here at the visitation and the funeral is going to start. It's been a steady stream of people coming in, students and staff both, and family members, not only from Leslie County, but also from Buckhorn as well, and Perry County schools and Leslie County schools. John was a great guy.
Day says Hamilton was special, saying he was not just about teaching students, but being there for them. He was also an assistant pastor of the Big Creek Church and the worship leader there. Today, our Mountain family said goodbye to one of its finest. Jim Boggs, our general sales manager for 25 years, died last Thursday, and today WYMT's Olivia Calfee spoke to some of his former co-workers and friends about a life well lived.
You know, at WYMT, you know, it's your mountain news, your mountain family, and Jim was a part of that. So today, we lost a big part of the mountain family, and it's a sad day.
A sad day as our mountain family says goodbye to one of its best, but also a day of reflection on the wonderful life Jim Boggs lived and the incredible impact he made here at WYMT.
He was full of positive energy. He wanted to do what was best for the station, but he also wanted to do what was best for the salespeople. And he also wanted to do what was best for the rest of the station. And that included news, that included production, that included engineering. He felt like if everybody worked together, they could achieve so much more.
And as his friends explain, he's leaving behind a legacy beyond the workplace.
Well, in the service, I think everybody said Jim was a gentleman, and he really was. And when you use that word, gentleman, he was actually a gentle man.
I think he'll be remembered for that smile and just from his sense of humor. He left behind a great, great legacy.
A life well lived, and one our mountain family won't too soon forget.
He loved WYMT. He loved broadcasting. He loved his family. He loved the Lord. I mean, I think he checked all the boxes. And, you know, if we can live our lives and we can check all the boxes and come to the end with no fear, what greater life is there? So I am really, really somebody that admires Jim Boggs.
We all were. That was Olivia Calfee reporting. WYMT's former general manager, Ernestine Cornett, reflected on when Jim was hired way back in 1990, saying, quote, "I learned very quickly that Wayne Martin had hired the right man for the job, as Jim was a natural at selling. His leadership in the sales department took WYMT to impressive heights, and as station manager, he was a wonderful ambassador and a bright light to the entire area as well." Today, we honor him for the wonderful talents he shared with WYMT and for a life well lived. He will be missed. He was laid to rest at Pine Hill Cemetery in Corbin. Jim Boggs was 75 years old.
Well, after some 70s for much of last week, we are struggling to make it out of the 40s this afternoon. Let's take a live look over at Buffalo Mountain. You can see we are gloomy and cool and dreary. That current temperature 43 degrees as we stay cloudy into this evening. Most of us right now in the middle 40s, 43 in Jackson, 45 in Pikeville, and 47 over in Manchester at this hour. Up on first alert, pinpoint Doppler, still tracking some light showers across the mountains, zooming into the Cumberland Valley. Some showers close to London and Laurel County. Also into Jackson, also Whitley and Knox counties, and a few more light showers in the Big Sandy Valley for places near Paintsville and Johnson County, also into Martin County and Pike County as well. But notice we are tracking some drying conditions off to the west, and that will continue to be a trend as we go into tonight. A small chance of a stray shower overnight, but again, most of us are dry, also partly to mainly cloudy, and those temperatures are chilly in the middle to upper 30s, but some 20s on the way by Tuesday, also Wednesday nights. Those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Cameron, thank you. Kentucky Sports Radio partnered with the Kentucky Chamber Foundation to raise money for flood relief efforts in eastern Kentucky. They presented checks to 3 organizations at the Appalachian Regional Healthcare Flood Distribution Center earlier in Hazard. WYMT's Chandler Wilcox talked to organization leaders about how the money will be used.
More than $300,000 worth of checks were presented to 3 organizations. through Kentuckians who could give $20, $25, $50 to really help out their fellow Kentuckians here in Eastern Kentucky. And so we've raised quite a bit of money, and a lot of it was these very small donations.
The money went to the Housing Development Alliance, ARH, and Homes Incorporated. HDA received $215,000 for flood repairs.
Best thing about that is it's flexible, and so we can use it to plug gaps and little, things that we can't find other money for.
Homes Incorporated received $70,000, which will also be used as flexible spending in flood repairs.
We're going to use it to leverage other funding to help spread our circle of work to help more people.
Appalachian Regional Healthcare received $50,000. CEO Holly Harris says that will go towards scholarships for students in the health profession.
So these are young people going to community college for jobs like medical assistants, respiratory techs, surgical techs. So much needed careers and jobs here in Eastern Kentucky and throughout the ARH system.
Harris also says ARH recently purchased more than $200,000 worth of household appliances for flood survivors still rebuilding. In Hazard, Chandler Wilcox, WYMT Mountain News.
Housing Development Alliance Executive Director Scott McReynolds says they have completed 16 homes for flood survivors, with 11 more under construction and even more planned. Governor Andy Beshear was here in the mountains today. The governor was in London to begin his stops in Eastern Kentucky, then made a stop in downtown Hazard at Hazard Coffee Company. He later paid a visit to Salyersville. The governor was making stops as part of his Go Vote tour. We will hear more from him at 11 and tomorrow night. Meanwhile, Beshear's challenger, Attorney General Daniel Cameron, is also on a bus tour across the state. He's scheduled to be in Paintsville at this hour and will make stops in Pikeville, Hazard, and London tomorrow. On Friday, he stopped by WYMT to record issues and answers. He said despite polls showing him behind, he feels good about his chances on election night.
We're going to win on November 7th, and this Commonwealth's going to have a new governor, and I'm excited about making sure that we restore Kentucky values to the governor's office and have a governor who's going to address the issue of violent crime and make sure that we have a world-class education system and eliminate Kentucky's income tax. So it's been a long road, a long journey, but we certainly feel very good about the opportunity before us, and we're just going to keep pushing all the way through the finish line.
You can see my interview with Attorney General Daniel Cameron tonight at 7 here on WYMT. With the general election just more than a week away in Kentucky, Secretary of State Michael Adams is urging voters to beat the lines and vote early. Today, he reminded folks, no excuse. Early voting will run from Thursday through Saturday. Adams urged both candidates for governor to promote voting early, which was passed with bipartisan support back in 2021. We have more information about early voting on our website at WYMT.com.
Well, the heaters get a workout this week as lows are back in the upper 20s by Tuesday, also Wednesday nights. Those details coming up after this break.